As far as I'm concerned, Hayao Miyazaki is the undisputed king of animated movies. But what happens when someone that learned under him steps up to the plate and sits in the director's chair? It's time to talk about the Imaginary. What's up, guys? I'm Sully, and today I'm excited because we're talking about the brand new anime movie on Netflix, The Imaginary. All you need to know about this one is that the story goes like this. Rudger is a boy no one can see, imagined by Amanda to share her thrilling make-believe adventures. When Rudger arrives alone at the town of Imaginaries, where forgotten imaginaries live and find work, he faces a mysterious threat. Now, I have to admit that this is a movie that wasn't even on my radar up until about a week ago, but I'm currently at a stage in my life where I'm really indulging in all things anime. Outside of Studio Ghibli's catalog, it's mostly been in television form with stuff like Cowboy Bebop, Chainsaw Man, and absolutely everything Dragon Ball that I can get my hands on, but I've been actively forcing myself to dive deeper into the film side of the medium as well. So along came this little Netflix movie about imaginary friends and the power of a young child's mind, and I'm here to tell you that I think it is definitely worth your time if you're a fan of animation, even if it's just for a one-time watch. Our director this time around is Yoshiyuki Mamos, and if you're not familiar with that name, you're not alone, because I had no idea who he was before I sat down to start watching this movie. But after checking out his resume, I'm here to put some respect on his name here, because he was involved in the key animation of movies like Porco Rosso, Whisper of the Heart, and Spirited Away. Well, now you have my attention. Anyone who Hayao Miyazaki himself trusts to work on his precious films is immediately going to have my approval as well. The film company that's responsible for putting out this movie, Studio Ponoc, is actually comprised of various past Studio Ghibli employees too. So you already know that these guys have the juice when it comes to putting out top-tier animation. I think the best way to describe this film is that it's kind of like if you took Toy Story, Monsters, Inc., and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends and just toss them all into a blender together. Now, obviously, if you're trying to make a state-of-the-art animation cocktail, those are some of the best ingredients you could possibly ask for. But along the way, at some points, the movie gets a little too big for its britches and tries to do too many things all at once. As to be expected, there's a lot of lore and rules regarding this expansive world of imaginary friends and how they're able to interact with the humans around them, but it kind of feels like a lot of the parameters they set up act more as excuses to show off all the visual flair they're capable of, rather than actually adding to the overall world building of the film. But I feel like you can kind of approach this movie in two different ways. You can get super nitpicky and caught up in the details, or you can enjoy the ride that this visual feast is able to provide. I mean, it's a kid's film that's meant to inspire first and foremost, and the characters are easy to root for, so I decided to go with that second option, and I feel like looking at the film in that lens gives it more power to offer up escapism and really make you appreciate all of the visually stunning moments throughout this journey. I mean, sure, there's some exposition that I definitely could have done without, but the animation here is just so creative that it does the bulk of the legwork necessary to really get you thinking about your own childhood and all of the made-up adventures you used to go on. From where I'm sitting, that means the movie accomplished what it set out to do. Now, much like the Studio Ghibli films that the director of this project has worked on earlier, this movie definitely toes the line when it comes to making sure there is just as much stuff jam-packed in here for adults as there is for kids. Don't let the clean and cute animation fool you. There are some very emotional themes, weird visuals, and complex concepts that get dealt with over the course of this story. They play around with ideas of death, the loss of innocence, defying cynicism, and a whole host of other big topics. Now, granted, a lot of that context might admittedly go right over a young person's head, but there's definitely some scary and flat-out bizarre imagery featured throughout this wacky journey. I seriously don't know how these guys even come up with this stuff at this point, because they really knock it out of the park when it comes to the visual side of things. The evil Mr. Bunting is one of the more memorable animated villains that I've encountered in a while, and if you're somebody that's already afraid of the little creepy girl from The Ring, you're in for a bumpy ride with this one, let me tell you. Overall, Overall, guys, The Imaginary is a creative, entertaining, and emotional animated movie that I think you should definitely check out if you're a fan of everything Studio Ghibli. Now, does it have the same secret sauce and offer up a similar payoff to something like a Miyazaki film? I don't think that it does, but that's also a near impossible task. At the end of the day, you probably won't ever have the urge to revisit this movie after your initial journey with it, but there's more than enough spectacle and passion in here to make this a worthwhile experience for the entire family. The Imaginary gets a Sully score of 3.5 stars. So that's my review for the latest Netflix anime film. If you want to hear me talk more about this kind of stuff, I'm going to leave my full filmography ranking of Miyazaki in the end screen, so make sure you go check that out. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.